Hello guys and welcome back to the video. My name is Will's Z Design and I'm going to be showing you how to make a good banner or channel art for your YouTube channel. It is possible to do 3D ones, but in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do a normal banner like the one I made for Faith Jarvis. Obviously for practice, it's not made straight for him, but I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a good banner that looks a bit like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start off by clicking File. We're going to open New. Here we're typing the exact width of 260 and the height of 1440. He's going to create a nice 16:9 format, basically like 1920 by 1080, but it's a bigger resolution because that's what YouTube recommends, and it will not be blurry. So if you wanted to do a smaller file like that, you could do, but stick to 2560 by 1440. You want to then go over to Google and you want to make sure you have a YouTube banner template. So I'm going to go over to YouTube and type in, sorry, I'm going to go over to Google, type in YouTube banner template. And go to images. And here we go, is a nice banner template. It shows the exact sizes you need, but I'm not going to use this one because I already have one. So I'm going to go to now File and Place. You want to go find it. So if mine was in my library's camera roll, you just file and place it. I like this one a lot more because it's got different colours, so it stands out, so I know which is which and where I need to put certain things a lot easier. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click Ctrl R and it'll bring up these little rulers here. We're going to kind of just drag these over the different areas. It's the exact same for the black and white one. It's not going to change in the templates. As long as the template on Google says it's 2560 by 1440. Alright, so once you've done that, you want to, make sure you've also done these ones down here. Once you've done that, you're going to want to get rid of this background. You can do that by clicking the I for now temporarily, or you can just completely delete it. But what you want to do next is you want to get the rectangle tool. The rectangle tool is right here. Make sure it's clicked on rectangle tool. You can do that by left clicking and holding, and then just click rectangle tool. I'm going to make sure the fill is a nice dark colour, so it's contrasting what's in the actual banner, so you can see what's going on. You want to make sure this is going across here like this, and this is going across here like this. Make sure it's not any further than the blue things. It'll automatically lock on, so you'll know if it's going further or not. Once that's done that, guys, you want to shift click on the other rectangle and click E. This will make it so they're in one layer, so you can move them all together and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to click Control Z. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure you have some kind of graphics pack. You can get these for free, or you can buy certain ones. But I'm going to do the Visuals 2K one. That is my favourite one, so I'm going to go to where all my graphics packs are. And here they are. So Visuals 2K graphics pack. And you can also, you don't have to use a graphics pack. You can get images from the internet that are for your game, or I recommend taking them yourselves to avoid any conflict anyway. So yeah, I'm going to go down here to textures and backgrounds, and I'm going to pick the one I use for Jarvis's, the Jarvis banner I made. So I think it's one of these down here somewhere. Let me find it real quick. Alright, so I found it now, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the I, click on the one I want, click Control A and Control C. Now, if you can try and drag it in, but for some reason that doesn't work for me, so here's what it is. I'm just going to click back here, and I'm going to click Control V and make sure that's dragged below this layer. And we're going to expand that, and we're going to make sure it's bigger than this area here itself. And we can do that by doing just shift and holding it to make sure it's shift and moving it to make sure it's in the same proportion. Now I'm going to get rid of that for a second, and I'm just going to get lines locking on into the middle so I know where the middle is. And then this would allow me to use this layer down here and lock that directly into the middle. So you're going to move it, and as soon as you feel it lock, then that's in the middle. So now that's in the middle, what we're going to do is, if that's a good enough image for you in the background, that is fine, but I want to add a nice little, maybe a bit of red to it. So I'm going to get this one right here, and I'm going to click Control A and Control C, And now that is fine. I'm just going to get rid of that and Control T. So Control V and Control T. Alright, so now you're going to click apply and make sure that is centered again. Make sure it's locked. You don't have to, or you can just find the place where it works for you. So I quite like where it is there. So this is fine. Now you can click on this. You can either do overlay, which works quite well. You can do things like soft light, which also works kind of well. Hard light, vivid light, hard light. Screen might also work well. But to find the best one, you just click on normal and then make sure this has got a blue box around it and just click the down arrow and it'll automatically go through them and you can pick which one you like. I quite like this one. That one's not bad either. But I'm going to go back up to that one that I liked. I believe it was that one, was it? I'm going to go with screen. And if you wanted to mess around with the opacity, just click it. And you can mess around with the opacity to make it a bit less visible and to bring the background out a bit more. You can do the fill as well, and that is quite good. So if you still wanted to change it, you can still move it around, but make sure you don't go over the edges. To make sure that doesn't go over the edges, click on one of them and alt, maybe just drag it out a bit more, and then that's fine. Now you have a bit more room to play around in, so I'm going to drag it over here. There we go, just like so. I quite like that. And now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to flip in. You just want to get in the text. I want to put text in, and now this is quite a nice font. You can go choose a font if you wanted to change the font. You can go over to Da Font and get loads of free fonts there, or some of them you have to pay for, but most of them are free. You want to make sure it's saved to proportion, so you can click Shift Alt at the same time and then drag it out, and it'll keep it directly in the center and keep it in the direct same position right from before, but also keep it at the same proportions. There we go. I quite like that size. Maybe just make it a bit smaller. I want to bring it to about there. That's better. And all you want to do is, if you want to change the colours, I recommend doing that to about a nice red colour that fits in well with the background. Try and stick to 2 colours in your colour scheme. Pretty much one of them being black and one of them being white, to make it a bit more nicer. So now that you've got that, if you wanted to make it a bit of a darker red, make it a bit less saturated, you can do that by just doing that. Sometimes it makes it a bit nicer, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the design. But you could just go directly in the middle, and that looks a lot better in my opinion. And now you're going to want to add some feel to the text. So you want to make a new layer over the text. So click on the text, click new layer, and then right click and create clipping mask. Now you want to go over to this, and you want to click on the black colour, and you're just going to kind of just drag around the edges. You can go down the bottom here, around the top up here, and this is going to create like a nice kind of, I mean, not necessarily 3D, but kind of like a nice bit of texture to the text. As you can see, there isn't much of a difference, but it makes it a bit nicer. And if you wanted to do the same thing in the middle, but with like a grey or a white to brighten it up a little bit, you can do. Just bring down the size of the brush and just kind of just drag over it like that, and just go around the edges in like a circular motion, like so. Now I don't like that as such, so I'm going to delete that, and I'm just going to redo that, but with keeping it on the black instead. Just make it a bit bigger again, and just go around the edges, maybe a bit more like this or a bit less. Make sure you go over it multiple times, see what works for you. So just go like that, a bit more up on the top here. Click soft light, and as you can see, it kind of adds like a nice kind of, maybe a bit more 3D effect, not necessarily 3D, but 3D as it is. And then if you wanted to add some more effects like inner glow, sometimes the inner glow works well. Go for like click on the colour in the middle, kind of just bring it a bit lighter to make it look a bit glowy. Make sure the size doesn't overwrite the black around the outside, so you can still see the black. As you can see, that is getting rid of the black when I do it a lot bigger. That's a nice area, I quite like that. You can bring up the opacity, you can bring it down a little bit, however you'd like. You can mess with the jitter. The jitter doesn't really do much for me. I don't really see much of a difference. the choke, just there's a big difference there, as you can see. It gets rid of the black on the outside. I'm going to keep the choke down to 0%. Now satin, that just adds like, I don't even know what satin does, to be honest with you, but as you can see, it kind of like brings down the edges a bit more, but I don't really like that. Sometimes level works well as well, so if you want to level and emboss, it kind of adds, it definitely adds a bit of a 3D effect, so you can have a bit of texture to it, contour if you wanted to. Doesn't do much. In a level just kind of adds a bit of 3D to it. As you can see the like the difference up here. I'm going to keep it there for now, and if you need to add a bit of a gradient, you can mess around with that as well. Gradients are trash though. You can bring down the opacity to really shady. As you can see, it's changing the difference up here. It doesn't look too bad, but if you wanted to change the style, you can do. But I'm going to remove that for now. Oh, removed the wrong one. Remove the gradient overlay. If you wanted to add the outer glow as well, you can do. Just make it again a dark, a black or a white for an outer glow. I don't know why it's doing it in the inside. I think it's just the font I'm using. That looks quite nice though. As you can see, we've got a huge difference there. Yeah, it's just the font. I don't know why it's doing that. Also, some fonts are just retarded. If you wanted to click drop shadow though, that's again doing it in the middle. Things work well with different fonts and some don't. So if you wanted to add a shadow without being able to like that, all you have to do is go behind the text and just kind of get the black and just sort of just go around the outside again like that, but like drag it underneath the text, and then you could add like a hard light effect or a soft light, or just a flipping hard light again, and then just drag the opacity down, but make sure you go right around the outside of the text. But I like that as it is. Now lighting is what works very well as well. So the colour of your text, I'm going to get the colour of my text but make it like bright red this time. I'm going to go behind the text. I'm just going to pop a dot in there and just make it overlay. Maybe a bit of soft light instead. Flipping heck, man. There we go. See the difference? It just adds a bit more feel to it. But I think the arrow's in the way, so what we're going to do is we're just going to move that over a little bit. As you can see, that looks a bit nicer. If you wanted to bring down the opacity just a little bit, you can do. And that's pretty much it. So now what we're going to do is going to go over the background. I'm going to add a bit more lighting to it. So if we went now to the black, we went like this, necessary bit like this, add a bit of like a, I'm doing it on the wrong layer. If we do it on this layer instead, underneath it, and kind of just bring the layer above that one as well, and then we go around the outside here as well, kind of add like a curve to it. Don't just do it straight down the middle, kind of add a curve to it. Then if we kind of just got a bit of a red and did it from beneath here slightly by going like this, if we got a bit of a white and did it over here, if you went down now to soft light, it darkens the outsides but also darkens the insides. And if you wanted to do, you can bring down the opacity to make the whole thing a bit different. As you can see now, it's bringing in the center of attention in the middle, but we've also still got some of the main stuff outside. If you wanted to, you can mess around with playing around with this as well, bringing it not underneath this layer, bringing it over between the two layers here. Maybe even try bringing it over there. It doesn't make much of a difference to the point where it's literally invisible. Yeah, so that's basically that part. Now there isn't much else to do. You can do a lot of color correction actually. Now if you needed to do some other things like the Twitters or your social medias, open up the graphics pack again. Okay, and as you can see, we've got social media buttons. So I'm just gonna quickly take the Instagram one and place it in there. Take the Twitter one. Where's Twitter? Right, copy that one, paste it in there. Now we're going to make sure these are the same size. So I'm going to quickly just make one of them black so it's a complete opposite colour. As you can see, the Twitter is slightly smaller, so we're going to bring the Instagram on top slightly. So you know the Twitter on top. I'm going to bring the Twitter to the same size. So make sure you hold the shift key. And it doesn't really matter about the width, just make sure the height is the same. So you can do that just by dragging it up and make sure these lines are intact with that. And then you should see like it's the same height, like so. Then just click on Control U again and just bring the lightness all the way back up and it'll bring it back to there. Now we're going to notice that the white's not going to work too well. So I'm going to start off by making a layer above the Twitter and then also a layer above the Instagram and just group these two together, but make sure you create clipping masks over the layers above them. So now I'm just going to grab a nice red again and just plonk and plonk. Just do it, make sure it's like a true red, just go over the top. There we go. So now we're going to group these together. Just like so. So you got that in the group. I'm just going to call it social medias. Just so if in down the line, if you wanted to change the banner, you have the layers named, so you know which is which, like so. And then I was to drag the Twitter over here. Make sure these are definitely in a line. You can do that by making it in line first. Left clicking, shift, and just drag it horizontally. Or you can just drag it horizontally, and it should automatically snap in place to where it thinks center is between there and there. We do the same thing over here. Yeah, same height. It's locked in place there. That's fine. That looks about right. This one looks a bit too to the right, but it's fine for that. It's only a demonstration. But if you wanted to make the text centered as well, so I go over here and I'm going to put down here at text. Now as you can see, this font's not here, so bring it into a font that looks like it'd work with the font. This one doesn't work with it, so usually Burbank works well. So if I went to Burbank, usually that works well with pretty much any font. As you can see, that looks decent. Bring the size of it down, make sure it works well with the size of that. That looks about right. And then make sure it's centered. I think that's about right. If you wanted to do it, you can just bring again the rulers to the sides of the Instagram logos. So if I zoomed in real quick, bring it to there, bring it to there, and as you can see, that is about the same as that, which is perfectly fine. And then to get the same text, all you have to do is just right click, duplicate layer, and drag that into the one above there, like so. Then just shift click again and just drag it over here so it's until it locks into place where it looks about center. So that's the closest to center I think I'll get it. And then yeah, if you wanted to add the same effect to this as it is that, go over to here, create a clipping mask above the Twitter group and above the Instagram group, but not inside of the Instagram or Twitter group. So you just do that by doing that. Create clipping mask, create clipping mask, grab the black again and just go around the edges and make the brush a bit bigger so you see what you're doing. You might want to drag that into there. Oh, I'm doing the clone stamp tool, that's why I'm freaking retarded, dude. Right, so we're going to bring that side down again so you can see what you're doing, but not too big to the point where it's going to overfill your things. That's a good size. Let's go on the outside here. I'm just going to click soft light, and as you can see, that's not made much of a difference. So if you go to hard light and then just bring down the opacity, make it blend in a bit. Then to bring the same part of it, you can just by going up to there. Make sure that's not in that group, but is in this group. So kind of just drag that up there. There we go. Create clipping mask, and then just go on the edges again, like so. Click on hard light, and then make sure it's the same opacity. So that's 34, and this is 100. So you can just do the same thing by tapping it in here, like that, and then that's about right. So yeah, that's about, I pretty like that at the moment. And now what's left is color correction. So you're gonna make a layer above here, so you get it above there. Then you're gonna click hue and brightness and contrast, should I say first. Bring up the brightness, bring up the contrast, it's whatever. Find out which tickles your sensors. You can use legacy, which will bring the whole thing. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. If you wanted to see auto, it automatically suggests which one works best, and you could still mess around with it to the point where you like it. So I'm going to click auto because I quite liked it from before, and maybe just bring down the brightness just a tiny bit. Like, actually no, auto's fine. Then you can delete this layer here, click back on the brightness and contrast. Levels. This kind of just decides, if you bring, the closer you bring it here, this is a black one, and how much grey and white it'll be. This is a white one, so if you need more more black, drag the whites down to the black. So this kind of like makes what the white will be equal to the black. So don't really do much of that unless it works well. I don't recommend doing lots of that because it's just gonna make it look bad. This is kind of the RGB curves. You can just drag it down to where you think works well. As you can see, this looks horrible. Don't do that for a banner. You won't get any subscribers from it. Sometimes I find that dragging it a bit higher or a bit lower makes a lot of the difference. I think that works well. But you can also do auto. This doesn't look too bad, but I don't like that at all. As you can see, you can even click on more and drag it where you want. But I'm just going to delete that. Now I'm going to add it back to where it was. So curves, drag that down slightly. Yeah, and if you want it again, you can just click on there and kind of mess around with the colours a bit, but drag that back to there. Right, so now exposure. You can drag this up slightly. It's a bit like the brightness. It's actually quite a lot like the brightness, to be fair. Don't want a lot of exposure at all in this one. Make it a bit of a subtle change. As you can see, just changing that makes it, the banner already look quite a lot better than it already was. Don't mess around with the offset a lot because the offset does so much of a difference in its little thing. So I'm going to set that back to 0. If not, it's going to look horrible. Gamma correction. This just kind of messes around with the brightness slightly as well. As you can see, that's really bright, that's really dark. I'd say around there's a nice little area for it. Nah, actually no. Make it a bit darker. I think that's pretty cool. No, let's just set this back to 0. Like so. The feck. If you didn't want to do it anymore, just double tap on this there. Bring it back to how it was. 0.0. Bring it back down to the middle. Oh, it's just 1. Take it to 1. There you go. Then go to the vibrance. I like having a lot of vibrance because it brings out the colour a lot more. Saturation depends on what you feel like. It's basically how saturated the colours are. Having that down there, around here works quite a lot better. Or having it down here for a black and white kind of feel works well. Bring down the vibrance just a little bit in. Actually bring it all the way back up. I quite like that. Then once you've done the vibrance, you're going to come down to the saturation. This is where basically you get to pick the colours. So if you did it all in red but you didn't necessarily like it, you can change that right here. Like, in my opinion, this one looks pretty nice. That pink looked really nice as well. The yellow and the green looks really good. That doesn't look too half bad. I quite like that myself. But I'm not going to do that. Just basically just reset that real quick. Drag it back into the middle. Plus 0. Then you can mess around with the saturation here as well. Bringing that down to about there works. Bringing that down to, keeping that around the middle area works pretty well. Bring up the brightness just a tiny bit if you wanted to. See, all down. Just the -1 makes so much a bit of a difference as well. Colour balance is how much yellow you want versus blue. Don't mess around with this too much because sometimes it can make a bad effect. I think having a magenta a bit more than the green works well though. Having a bit more red than cyan, you don't really want that because the whole thing is red. So if you drag it down a little bit, it'll add a bit more darkness to it. I quite like that actually, so we're going to do that. And again, you don't have to do every single one here, because some of them don't work well. Like the black and white, don't do that, because that's going to be affecting the black and white. Do that if you have a black and white thing, but we're not doing black and white, we're doing red and black. Then you can add like a warming filter, cooling filter. Mess around with this, it kind of just cools it down a little bit. The warming filter, however, makes it feel a lot more warmer and a bit more darker. So I feel like going with a cooling filter would work quite well. As you can see, having a bit of a cooling filter. You can also change the colour directly, so if I went to a red colour and brought it up a lot, as you can see, it messes around with the reds. So I'm going to go back to a filter. I'm going to go to a red filter, if there's a red filter. Orange. And then just kind of mess around with that. I quite like that as it is there. As you can see, it doesn't do much of a difference, but it makes it feel a bit more warmer. So I'm going to have that on. Channel mixer. This just messes around with the colours again. Try and bring it down a little bit. Bring up the greens a little bit and bring up the blues. I'm going to bring that down a little bit to a point where it just blends in here. I don't know why it's changing only that part there. So just bring that down just a tiny bit so it looks red. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to go to, you can click on monochrome, but that's black and white. Don't really like that. Just bring that back up to how it was. That doesn't, I don't know what I've just done there. Let's fully fix that. Colour mixer, bring that up slightly. Bring that up slightly. Bring that down slightly. Bring that up back to how it was. There we go. Bring that slightly down. Bring that slightly down. That's fine. Colour lockup, don't really do much. Invert, if you wanted to invert the colours. If you want to add a bit of an invert, you could add it on 50%. Or this, again, that doesn't look too bad, but I don't like it because it adds a lot of grey to it and makes it look non-professional. Posterize, usually I just bring that all the way up. As you can see, it kind of just makes it a bit more sharper. I feel like it does, but it shouldn't do. Threshold, whatever, gradient map. Gradient just kind of is a bit weird. You can make your own gradient. See, so I've clicked black and white. That doesn't look half bad, but obviously I'm not making a banner like that. You can mess around with all the gradients you've got. That looks really nice, I don't know why. Again, you've got that, got a rainbow effect here and there. We've got that, and we've got that, but I'm going to completely get rid of that. You can even do a layer mask. Just get rid of that. So, yeah, that's about it. To get rid of these rectangles, I recommend doing that. Just delete that. And you're going to want to get this tool up here. You can keep it how it is if it looks good, but I don't think you should. Just bring that from the basically the top corner here, and it'll automatically lock onto the edges here. You just want to go through every single layer and just delete it so it doesn't go over anything. If it says there's nothing here or you can't do it, just leave it. If it's still there and it says you can't do it, then you want to right click on the layer that it's doing it on and rasterize the layer or rasterize the type. That'll allow you to change it, but you shouldn't have to end up doing that. But don't do it on the color corrections. And same thing for the bottom here. They do the same thing. So if I go down here, just go through every single layer. Now, if there's a layer that you definitely know doesn't need it, then you can leave it out. I just like going through everything just in case. Now, if you wanted to change it, you could add like a full-on image in the background of like, so say I was doing it for FaZe Jarvis, instead of doing a little, this spot blurred up here, I could have got an image of FaZe Clan, made it fit well with the colour scheme and just put it behind there. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to show you what I usually do. So once you've done that, you want to go to File, Save As. You want to go to the area. You saved it in, graphics, nope. Graphics work. New banner tutorial. Open that. banner edge or banner mid. I'm going to click file and PNG save, and don't add any compression to it for now because we don't want that because it's going straight into the Photoshop, so it doesn't really matter. Create a layer above the color corrections. Just group them together so you know what they are, and just put in color correction. There we go. And then what you want to do is file, place, banner edge. Here we are. Place, and automatically place it in. So you want to move this up to about the center, so you've got about the same amount here as there. So that looks fine. Zoom out, Shift and Alt, drag it straight up here. Make it overlap just a little bit because the blur is going to make it underlap. And then what I'm going to do is filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Move it to wherever tickles your sensors. I think about usually between 8 and 10 works well. So I'm going to stick with 10 here. And as you can see, we've got a bit of an overlap here. We can just fix that by moving it up ever so slightly. So there's fine, because I'm going to show you how to make like a nice little thing to stop that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the layer. And I'm going to shift and drag down so it stays in the line. And just drag it to where it snaps into place. If you wanted to add it, move it up a little bit, you can do, but don't go too much. Make sure about the same space between this and the bottom there is about the same space as there. So sugar, I just deleted it. That looks about fine to me, and it doesn't overlap too much, so it's going to be perfectly fine. So now what we want to do is you want to grab the rectangle tool, rectangle tool, snap it there. It should automatically snap, just drag it as close as you can. We're going to go to the fill, turn that to no fill, and put on the stroke to white. And you want to put it on about 3 pixels or 3 pt. That looks a bit too big, so I'm going to change that to about 2. That looks about right. Maybe try 1 if you wanted to, but make sure it's also centered between these 2 lines. So that works well. So now you do not need these rulers at all, but I'd still keep these top ones, blue ones here for now, as you're still working with this white line. Go to effects, go to outer glow, make sure you're still on the rectangle, and you want to bring up this one, the color selector, bring it to white, bring the size up a little bit. As you can see, it's messing with this here, adds like a nice little glow. Change the spread, make it a bit so the white glow is visible, but don't make it too much, so 0% is fine. Bring up to 1%, I like 1% a bit. That's fine for me. And then if you wanted to add the inner glow, it doesn't really do much at all, but it kind of just messes with the outer glow a little bit for some reason, don't know why. Oh my god, I'm such a inner glow, there we go. Make the inner glow. As you can see, it's not doing much of a difference, but zoomed in you can see quite a bit of a difference. So if you wanted to make the size, could do, doesn't really do much of a difference. Zoom in if you wanted to, but for now I'm just going to get rid of the inner glow. I'm just going to keep it. There we go. So that is looking really good. Now only thing I see is this Instagram's hard to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Instagram. We're going to create a text underneath the text layer. Oh sorry, underneath it all, should I say. We're going to make this brush, we're going to get a brush, we're going to make sure it's on black. I'm just going to make it a bit bigger than the Instagram. And do it there. And do one underneath the Twitter as well. I just want to bring it down to soft light. Or bring down the opacity. See how it's a bit easy to see now. If I wanted to just paint over it a few more times as well, just click about 3 times. Usually that makes a good difference. Bring up the opacity just a tiny bit. Like so. Or you can even switch to hard light to make it a bit of a nicer light on the background, and just bring it down the opacity, because that's a bit easy to see. Or if you're not a fan of that, you can just go over the Instagram, over the group, click effects, and click stroke. Adding a nice little black stroke might be a good thing for you. But again, I'm just going to cancel that and just put it there because I like that more. Again, you could do the same thing for the main text if you needed to. So release clipping mask, sugar, no, create clipping mask, like that. Right, now we're gonna go over to here, just paint behind the text, make it a bit bigger, like that. Bring it to hard light, bring it to about 40%, like so. And again, changing that makes a huge difference. So yeah, that's all I'm going to show you for today's video, guys. Obviously it's not the best banner I've made since it was a tutorial. If I put a lot more effort into it, it would be looking a lot nicer. And I only rushed it a bit because I wanted to just kind of show you guys how to make a really good banner in Photoshop. So obviously not the best banner, but it showed you a lot of skills in Photoshop, to be fair. And you can look through all my speed arts and try and get some skills from there as well. But what you want to do is to save it, just drag these up here, these rulers. You don't have to. Make sure you save the PSD as it is, because you don't want to getting rid of it. So you can click on banner, because you don't want to get rid of it, just in case you wanted to change anything in the future. You want to file, save as PNG, banner, like so. And in case the main banner is too big, I want to save as, again, PNG, but put banner comp, and then just click on the smallest slow compression, because comp stands for compression, and I will show you the file size difference in a minute. So if I now go over to here, and if I went over to banner comp, as you can see, properties, this is 1.3 megabytes, and the main banner is probably going to be about 14 megabytes. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. See you and peace.